You saw Emma Morgan there in Louisa's report. She's with me now in the studio alongside media lawyer Mark Lewis. Emma, just remind us of how you were caught out or caught up in a Mazher Mahmood sting.
Yeah. I was offered a bikini calendar shoot, supposedly with a prince, obviously Mazher Mahmood posing as one.
How long ago was this?
This was 18, 19 years ago.
Right.
I was taken over to Lanzarote to do this calendar shoot. An awful lot of stuff went into it, like beforehand, the build-up, making me excited about the job and all the things he was offering. And then whilst there, he did everything he could to, in essence, get me to supply him with cocaine.
Did you?
I passed. Basically, Mazher Mahmood had hired a bodyguard to look after me whilst I was there. This bodyguard was a drug dealer. Mazher Mahmood employed him to supply me with the drugs when he asked me to get them for him. It was crazy because we were all in the same room. Mazher Mahmood asked me to get the drugs from this guy, Billy.
Which you did?
I did. And I passed them to him because he said he didn't trust the guy. He entrapped me to do that. He literally tricked me and put a lot of pressure on me to pass that package to him.
Because aside from this, you weren't involved with drugs in any way?
Not at all. I was a model. I sold my car last year. It doesn't make me a car dealer. Secondly, I didn't make any money from doing that. I was doing it as a favour to him, and I thought if I didn't do that favour, I'd probably lose out on a very good job deal. Once I'd done that, he then went on to make a story that I was a drug dealer, a drug smuggler, mob-connected. All of which...
What was the upshot of all of this?
The upshot was me being left homeless, jobless, no future. You know, I had a shining, bright career ahead of me that I truly think I would have made something. It was all taken away.
And are you going to seek recompense through the courts now he's been convicted?
Yes. I was never convicted of anything. I didn't serve jail. So it will be a civil action that I'm taking.
And Mark, you're representing many people who want to do the same.
Yes, I mean, what was happening to people is they were the clue was in the name, the fake sheikh. He was tricking people. He would come up, he might have got them drunk, he might have drugged them or whatever, and said, right, now I would like you to do this, almost as if he had a thing, and then nobody could take him on or take on the police or take on the newspaper.
Yeah, as Emma says in her case, she feels she was entrapped, but in others, did the end justify the means at all, the public interest?
Well, I don't think there was ever any public interest in the stories. It wasn't like he was going
rigging
out...
sports matches, for example. He uncovered that.
Well, I think that's going to be questioned as well. What you have is a lot of people were basically blackmailed and bribed into doing certain things that you find out now, actually, when there was a crook in the story, the crook was Mazher Mahmood. We know that every fake sheikh story had at least one crook in it.
Because you know full well at the time, I mean, several high-profile people were prosecuted. There was a public interest, and even the Crown Prosecution Service said after some of them there were cases where he did do a service. Do you think that is all fake now?
Well, people have to now look back on that with the benefit of hindsight and say, hang on a minute, he was doing that. Let's look at it. If you take any of the cases and say he's going to be a prosecution witness, you would just drop those criminal cases.
In terms of these civil lawsuits, though, he's been sacked by News UK, his former employer, the people who used to own the News of the World, and they will say they will rigorously defend any accusations against them. But there's this figure being bandied around of £800 million. I mean, who's really going to pay that if it reaches fruition? Well,
it's a total loss that you have to look at the cost for, you know, what its expenses to them, not just damages to the people involved. I don't think anyone's suggesting £800 million will be paid out to the victims. But there's also cases going on in America. Certainly one started in California. The damages there are much higher. And of course, they can vigorously defend. But many people who vigorously defend cases end up vigorously losing cases.
It's expensive, of course, to do that. Emma, just a final question, though. People will rightly be concerned about the power of investigative journalism. Of course, it's been proven that what he was doing in some instances was wrong, but investigations are still vitally important.
Yeah, I totally agree. When you look back to the days of Roger Cook with the Cook reports, fantastic man. He used to go after real criminals, this, you know, scum of society, people who could probably do him harm, but he went out there and he did it. Mazher Mahmood masqueraded as though he was doing the same thing, but what he was doing was getting innocent people to commit crime that they wouldn't otherwise have done. So,
thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.
thank you.
Still to come on 5 News Tonight.